Hey, it's Shapes, and welcome to another expedition of the Anime Encyclopedia. 3rd edition! We're in! We did it. I read the last 5 pages of the 1st edition before stream. And now all stream is going to be 3rd edition progress, baby. I don't know how many entries we have. We may as well count. I may as well go ahead and look and count and see. How many entries do we gotta cover tonight? But of course we'll go over the notes that I have for the rest of 1st edition. Greg first again. Oscar close behind. Good to see you guys. Hey Shaves. Hey Victor. Hey Davis. Good to see everybody. Alright. Let's see. I'm counting. How many 3rd edition M's do we have to do? I'm doing pretty well. I did some work for a discotheque title upcoming. Worked out this morning. Been a pretty good day. Not bad. Pretty good day so far. And I'm thinking after I stream tonight, I'm gonna go play some Master Quest, Legend of Zelda Master Quest, to prepare for motherfucking Tears of the Kingdom. Let me know if the tunes are okay with the volumes. Could be a little intense. It's a new mix, so these things usually tend to drown me out. Let me get the tune. Let me actually get the. And you know what? I may as well put this on stream too, because why not? Here we go. Check it out. Oh, it doesn't know what it's like. Check what out, loser. Okay, jeez. All right, let's see. How many entries do we got? Don't use this as a way to pirate the thing. Inspirational, good to see you. Let's see how many. These green highlights are the ones from post 2001 that I haven't read yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm not gonna count the blue ones. These are just. I'll read these as well, but they're not really entries per se. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, oh god, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. I'm sure this is very entertaining. 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 171 entries. And I would like to do all of that by the end of the month. Wonderful. Just great. I've been playing through Ocarina the first time. I was playing on N64, but the cartridge battery gave out. Switched to 3DS. That's fair. I've always played it on GameCube. I first played it on GameCube. I have a story of me walking in literally the wilderness because my mom was like, go outside, you're playing too many video games. And it's raining outside. And I'm just enjoying nature, taking hikes, exploring. And I'm in my backyard, and I'm walking up to my house from my backyard. And in my yard is a plastic Ziploc baggie with Ocarina of Time Master Quest for GameCube, the only system I have. Just there. No cart, no, just the disc. And that was my first Zelda game. Shit was literally Unmei, dude. Shadamesia! Unreal. I've since played basically all of them. I haven't played the CDI ones, and I didn't beat Link's Awakening, but I did play it. And like, you know, some random side games like Tingle's Quest or some shit. What is the Anime Encyclopedia about? Haven't seen the previous streams. Can you give us a guess of how many M entries are new to the 3rd edition? That's what I just counted, Davis. 171. 171 3rd edition new entries in the 3rd edition. I'm just gonna put that somewhere. Entries. All right. So Oscar, it's nice that I'm happy you've joined. It's a long story. I've been doing this for over a year now. I started in September of 2021 to read the entire Anime Encyclopedia. This was published in 2001. The one I just showed you on screen, this desktop here, this is from the 3rd edition from 2015. And basically, I'm reading all of it, comparing the two editions of what was the difference in knowledge that was gained in the 15 years between this edition and that edition, and what little eccentricities can we discover? Because I think this is a really good time capsule of kind of what the broader sentiment about anime at large was like back in 2001. And could possibly reflect a lot of biases and trends that we still encounter today. That's pretty much it, and I've been going through all of it and recording my findings through these streams. There's a whole playlist on my channel, and yeah, we've been on it, we've been at it. We're in the letter M, and hopefully I have a schedule that, like, I have kind of a rough plan of like how long this will take after this. I'd like to get it done by November. And the idea of this is that I have all the streams up, and then the video on my main channel comes out, and that's the like definitive, kind of encapsulated findings, rattling off a ton of examples and, you know, giving an overall thesis about it. Which I haven't started work on yet, obviously, because I still want to be figuring this out. But yeah, cool, really interesting. Yeah, certainly has been. All the one of the things I love about streaming on YouTube is all the VODs are up. They're archived. They don't get lost. I don't have to download them. I have them downloaded, but I don't have to. They're all there for you. Yeah, but something we've kind of changed recently, for me at least, is I'm going to be going through the encyclopedia live. So what I used to do is I'd read before the stream, and then the whole stream would be spent on my findings. So it'd be kind of a reaction to the, you know, my reactions already happened, and this is me recounting what I've experienced. And you're gonna get a little bit of that just right now, because I did a little bit of reading in like the 2 hours before I streamed. But then after that, we're gonna go into third edition and start reading some stuff. I'm not gonna read all of it out loud, but yeah, that's the general gist. Going for maybe 2 hours or so. Sorry for everybody that's knows the game, but yeah, I'm happy to explain it. Let me give you some of the things I found for this reading initially. So finishing up the first edition, they changed one of the titles, Musashi Road to Musashi Lord, and they even got the Romaji wrong as well. Like, it has Road in the 2001 edition, but it's Dodo. I don't know. I don't know how they figured out that it was different, that it was supposed to be Lord. They changed this title, Musical Wanderings of Jironaga Kiyomizu, to Musical Wanderings of Jirochu of Shimizu, and the Romaji is different too, same idea. They added in that article as well, it was comprised of 10 episodes of 3 stories each. They added that because they changed they were mistaken. They originally notated it as 25-minute, 27 episodes, and they changed it to 10 episodes, 25 minutes, and the confusion, they're just kind of clarifying the confusion there from the last edition, as if anyone would have probably noticed, because this is not exactly a popular title in the slightest. For My, they had a similar episode differentiation. They changed it from 22-minute, 4 episode 22 minutes to 2 episodes 44 minutes long. And their description of it was originally presented as 4 episodes, though this anime's release only spreads across 2 tapes. And they're like, oh, it's presented as 4 stories, 2 per episode. Okay. So, just clarifying that. For My Neighbor Totoro, they changed the terminology dust bunnies to soot sprites. They also added that in 2005 there was a house recreation built, and the fact that Totoro got a cameo in Toy Story 3. Stuff that they added. Slowly getting back into anime, watching some seasonals, and JoJo Part 6. My fans got angry. I was spending too much time on JRPGs. You spend your time however you damn please. Enjoy yourself. Don't let them guilt you out. I'm very grateful for my for people that follow my stuff. Aren't angry that I'm doing one thing and not another. I'm very appreciative. Seriously, guys. It means a lot. My Name is the Yamadas. They added by Studio Ghibli to the movie. So, like, in the first edition, they don't even mention that Isao Takahata directed it or that it was from Studio Ghibli, because Yamadas is like a manga that got turned into an anime series. I think it was a manga first, yeah, and it was a TV series first from like the 80s, and then it became a movie. And then so like the first edition, you read it, you might not have even noticed, or just by reading the description of it, that like it was a Studio Ghibli film, or the fact that it was directed by Takahata. And here they just go by Studio Ghibli and not by Takahata. And it makes me wonder. It got me interested, got me thinking. I'd have to really look at each of the projects, but there might be some Takahata erasure in this as well as Dazaki erasure. So one of the findings I've seen right towards the beginning, like when I first started perusing this book, is that they very much downplay certain creators and directors and elevate other ones. So obviously they're huge Tezuka fans and they're huge Hayao Miyazaki fans, so they're going to mention them any chance they get. But any mention of Dazaki, or perhaps Isao Takahata, I'd have to look closer at those particular entries for him. But that might be the case, that they kind of downplay Takahata's contributions, and so that could lead to that kind of broader understanding that the West. We know Hayao Miyazaki, a lot of mainstream people know his works, but it was only towards the end of Takahata's life that we were able to properly acknowledge him the way he deserves. Evenly, if not more so than Miyazaki. They were rivals. And just because he was less prolific than Miyazaki in terms of movies or box office success has nothing to do with how insanely talented and important he is to anime history. You know, I don't want to necessarily accuse this book of doing that, because I have to really compile that evidence, but kind of looking like that, at least especially in this instance. And they also added in 61 episodes to the 2001 series, because of course they didn't have the information until now. Mysterious Cities of Gold, they changed this Kingdom of Heva to Kingdom of Mu, Heva in the dub, just as a clarification. And then they also cut this bit where they were talking about, during the French re-release of the series, there was rumors that there could be a remake or a sequel, and nothing had come of it, so they just kind of cut that whole part out. They also added like "Si Pepello, Boy at the Andes." Yeah, I wonder why Takahata isn't that remembered. Really strange. Yeah, I mean, I get it, right? Miyazaki, Takahata's not the one making Nausicaa or Spirited Away or Princess Mononoke, but he is the one that is who is directing Heidi and Anne of Green Gables and Pompoko and especially Tale of Princess Kaguya. Only Yesterday, right? There's a ton of his work is insane. And it doesn't get the respect that it deserves as compared to Miyazaki. Look, don't get me wrong, Miyazaki's like probably my second favorite director. My favorite's Tazaki, but then like Miyazaki, the dude has, directed 3 of my favorite anime movies out there, period. I love all of his stuff. I like a lot of his stuff. I rewatched it tons and tons of times. So I love him, but there's other ones out there, Yeah, Mystery of Necronomicon, they changed a lot. This was a very reworked article, strangely enough. They changed this like wording that I don't know really why the purpose of it. I think maybe to reduce word count or something. That seems very unlikely, because there's so many words. Like, how do you this minute change? They haven't really. That's not been a pattern really in the rest of the book. Despite the usual cavalcade of sick sex and gratuitous violence. And they changed that to despite the sex and gruesome violence, and they're referring to the author of this work, or I guess the creator of Urotsuki Doji, connected to this work. They added further detail to the plot, like a lot more detail. Doesn't quite spoil it though, I don't think. And they added this correction here, and this is kind of telling. When they say it's as a game for the Sega Saturn, they changed it to as a game by Abogado Power for the PC 9801. A version of was later ported to the Sega Saturn. Something about that, it's like, it's so interesting how that gets corrected instead of all this other stuff that was left uncorrected in the 3rd edition that you would expect. Like, Oscar, I don't know if you're still around, but like, we read the One Piece article. I don't remember why. We haven't gotten to O yet, but I think it was someone asked about it, or I was obviously curious because I've been loving One Piece. And they call him the red-haired Junks? Shanks as Junks? And I think they changed... That was one that they did change in the 3rd edition. But there was some other stuff that, like... So obvious that's like, that's definitely wrong. And wasn't changed. All of that is in kind of the a lot of it's listed in my odd choices section. Stuff that kind of stuck out to me, or like, that's weird, or like, why did you have to say that? There's a lot to this book. There's a lot to this book, you see. Heidi is widely known in Germany. Still no one would know his name here like Miyazaki's. No, of course not. But I feel like this was somebody that like, actually, it's the PC 9801. Not to like nerd like those guys, but every time something like this comes up, it's like, it's by this company, by this machine. I don't know. There's always something that like, it's a particular kind of person. Nothing positive or negative about it, but you get the type, So it feels like somebody may have completely retooled this article, or heavily corrected them. They removed this whole chunk, this like really big chunk actually, like that, saying that it was only the middle chapter of a trilogy, and it was kind of hard to follow. Of like the the differences feel very radical, and I'm not necessarily interested in this title enough. It's like a hentai to like really go into the really figure out what's the truth here. I'm not that interested going into it, but this is a pretty substantial difference. Despite this being porn, and they added this part. Oh yeah. Oh, actually, the reason I wanted to write this whole thing out was because they have this really interesting snippet. Because this is a game from like the Sega Saturn, right? And as they say, it's a rare case of a game plot that seems to have genuinely required the traditional 30 hours immersion to make proper sense. Reduced here to 60 minutes of sleuthing, blah, 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 blah. We know this is history. There's a pattern, a trend with this encyclopedia to really downplay or not to have a lot of respect for video games. If it was based on a computer, if you think of a visual novel, or they don't really use the term visual novel, they use like porn game, you know. I don't even know if they use dating sim that much, but they're really insensitive, I think. Whenever something is based on one of these video games, they're very boomer about it. And this is kind of an interesting slight against that whole, like, kind of adding to that idea here. And this was cut from the 3rd edition, where they say that it's the rare case of a game plot that seems to have genuinely required the traditional 30 hours immersion to make proper sense. As if to say that, like, all those other games that have have long play hours, like run times, don't warrant their length. You know, like, oh, this one actually warrants the 30 hours, right? It's like, huh? You know, it's another bit of it. So the idea with this video that I would like to do is that I'm able to consolidate is really the word. Coagulate. Consolidate all of these findings into categories and just kind of rattle them off almost, and being like, here's all the, not every single instance, but all the most egregious instances to really prove this point, whatever that point may be. So I think this one would be one of those things. Like, wow, this one actually is worth 30 hours. This actually, you know, genuinely requires the 30 hours. I think Majoko Chickle is supposed to be Majoko Tickle. Yeah, probably. I think I might have missed this or forgot. Remind me, what did they think about Masaru Iro Symphony? Don't know. Let me see. Not familiar with that one. I have to probably look in the back because it's probably a localized thing. Masahiro. Mashiro. Okay, sorry. Mashiro. It's not in the 1st edition. Oh, okay, cool. It's a 2011 show, so I haven't read it yet. But let's see what they say. Since you asked. Girls' private school Yuihime Academy is considering turning co-ed. Let me put it on the on this thing that I'm now reading. Masahiro Hiro Symphony. That's a part of the problem making a big database. So much new information is always, you have to update it forever. Yeah, and that's why the book is a relic, and why they're probably not going to do it again, of course, because I think the internet just makes more sense as something that can be constantly updated. Obviously, can have a lot of anybody can update it, and so it can be wrong, for sure. But at least it has that updatable quality, and it's not just like, if it's wrong, right? completely misses it. Anyway, girls' private school Yuihime Academy is considering turning co-ed and invites some students from a neighboring mixed private school to join the student body on a temporary basis. Shingo Iryu and some of his friends are transferred to the academy for 10 months. They're impressed by the facilities on campus, but the girls aren't pleased with the nasty, noisy, uncouth boys. Can Shingo win them over with a little help from his friends? Will they be able to help the sheltered princesses of the academy deal with the troubles hidden under their polished exteriors? Based on a porn game by Palette, this is a typical softcore harem anime with more emphasis on romance than sex. 2 7-minute picture dramas were added to the 2012 disc release in Japan, with a 14-minute special providing an alternate ending. As indicated by the title Mashiro Iro Symphony, Airi ga Anata no Kanojo ni. This features a different chosen harem princess who wins our hero's heart. There you have it. Typical softcore harem anime. Pretty dismissive, but I'll write that down later. Yeah. Anyway, we'll move on with keep it moving with the thing here. They also added, despite this being porn, unusually the plot takes much greater precedence than the sex. Even the gore rivals the sex for screen time, or at least impact. Part of the Discovery series. There's new entries. Moretsu Ataro from 1969/1990. There's a sequel. There's an interesting thing about that one. There's something really interesting about that because it caught my eye. I didn't read the article itself, but it caught my eye, so I read a little bit, and then I'm like, oh, what? It'll show up in Odd Choices when I talk about it. Muchabe from 1971 was added. Mutant Turtles Chojin Densetsu Hen, like actually TMNT from 1996. Like it really is a Japan-only release. Insane. Of actually TMNT. Unreal. My Life As from 1999. And My Neighbor Tamegeta from 1974. So, these entries, if those who don't know, these are ones that show up in the 3rd edition that could have been in the 1st edition because it came out in 2001, but weren't for whatever reason. At least I can't find them in here. So, these are new entries. Ataro is one of the last black and white anime. Oh yeah, wow. Okay, positive impressions. They actually gave a positive to My Fair Masseuse. It's a porno remarkable only for the consensual nature of its sex scenes. A welcome change, from the rape and everything. My Neighbor Totoro is positive. Miyazaki's greatest work. Hence, probably the best anime ever made. Look, this isn't like this project is not to disagree with their opinions, right? But like, that's a play. That's a call. Respect people who really like Totoro. They were really glowing about that one though. Like, all right. I prefer positive, or at least they didn't think it was bad. At least they didn't think it was a bad movie. It's just, of course, to me at least. Tonari no Tokoro. This is actually really funny. Princess Mononoke would beg to differ. Also, hi. Their reasoning for why is because it's actually for all ages. Like it's an actual family entertainment. Unlike Princess Mononoke and Nausicaa and Porco Rosso. Unlike those guys that have a narrower, like this is for everybody. And that's what makes it the best one. Seems to be their argument. I'll read it out. I'm not going to read the whole I don't want to read the whole thing, but I'm losing it. Gosh. All right, yeah. Hayao Miyazaki's greatest work, and hence probably the best anime ever made, Totoro is also a very personal film. set in the disappearing countryside of the creator's childhood and featuring a child's love for a bedridden parent. Miyazaki's own mother suffered from spinal tuberculosis. Totoro has the widest appeal of any of Miyazaki's films, aimed as it is at an audience so young that it can genuinely be described as family entertainment. Unlike his more adult-themed works, such as Porco Rosso, or teen adventures like Nausicaa. And, you know, they would have had a point in 2001, which is when they wrote this. But they didn't change this when Ponyo came out in 2008. Which is also, I mean, very definitely, like, definitely for kids, the same way Totoro is. You know, and it's like, okay, how is Porco Rosso not a family film? I get it. It's got, like, I mean, I'd rather be a pig than a fascist, or, they're adults. There's very few kids in that movie. But also Lapida. Like, I think just because Lapida has action in it, and it has those guys falling to their deaths at one point. All right. I watched those as a kid. I still understood and enjoyed them. Right. Most kids have. I think a lot of kids who have seen the Ghibli films have. I liked those better than this other movie. I can see why they picked Totoro, though I feel like Kiki's Delivery Service can also take that spot. Yeah, and Kiki's. I'm like, what's different about Kiki? And it's so obvious that they found ways to write this, mentioning every one of his other movies. I'll keep reading. Totoro sees everything through the unquestioning, uncritical, undaunted eyes of a child, and it is an uplifting film of unadulterated hope. Originally shown on a double bill with its heartrending opposite, Grave of the Fireflies. And they added this in the 3rd edition, which I don't think I actually put. I actually forgot this. Did I? Yes. Soot sprites added, or in some theaters, the girl with the white flag. There are many echoes of other productions from Studio Ghibli, particularly in Totoro's depiction of a disappearing pastoral existence, with a ghostly rural world superimposed on modern times, much like the studio's more serious Pompoko. You see how they go the studio's more serious Pompoko? And they don't mention Takahata? They also didn't mention Takahata for Grave of the Fireflies. And then, I have a problem. I did put in odd choices that, like, it's weird that you're bringing up Pompoko, saying Totoro is referencing it. Like, there are many echoes of other productions from Ghibli, oh, there's Pompoko in this movie, even though Pompoko came out after Totoro. Miyazaki's, I don't mean to actually them, but I am unactually them. Miyazaki's Japan is a nation very much rooted in its own past, with ancient local shrines overlooking the contemporary action, and the Totoros leading the girls in a stirringly primal fertility ritual. It also mixes the magical with the mundane in the charming style of Kiki's Delivery Service, and, like the creator's much more downbeat Princess Mononoke, refuses to point a formulaic finger at a bad guy scapegoat. I can go on, but yeah, that's pretty much that's more, they go on, but yeah. I literally watched Porco Rosso with a class of kindergartners. Raising them right, I see. Unlike other mecha vibes. Yeah, they do that. They did say that during their Bokurano article. They said this one focuses on the characters. Just like, oh, really? Text still says Mashiro Iro Symphony. I know, sorry. Yeah, that's fair. I didn't intend to read Totoro, but I did. Cringe Takahata erasure. There kind of is. There kind of is, actually. Yeah, that's the movie I picked when working with kids. We did also watch Totoro, though. Yeah, of course. And I don't think any of us here are saying it's a bad movie at all. In fact, it's a very good movie because it's a Miyazaki movie. Everything that man does, you know, he hasn't missed. He has one more movie, and he hasn't missed, not once. Granted, there's other people that haven't missed either, but like, you know, whatever. Where was I? Yeah, I was in opinions. Sorry, but yeah, greatest work. Negative opinions. Tonari no Tokoro, feeble pastiches of several comedy skits. This, oh yes, okay, so I'm sorry I kept interrupting myself. I'll put it in, let me get to, I hate hopping around. I'll just get to that later. Mysteries of the world. Confusing in its inability to decide whether it wants to be a history, geography, travelogue, or the titular mysteries. Look, I know nothing about this show, but that sounds to me like they're just trying to do a lot of different stuff at once and trying to be versatile. Isn't that okay? Can't you have both history, geography, travelogue, and mysteries? Like, what's wrong with that? What's confusing about it? Again, I've never seen that. I've never heard of it, but like, just a weird complaint. I started watching stuff like DBZ and Inuyasha at 7. Kids are more naive than stupid. Yeah. True. Choices. Alright, I'll get there. Okay, guys. Moretsu Ataro. They list Kuniko Ikuhara as assistant director for Series 1. Keep in mind that the series came out in 1969. And I don't know why they kept it, because they clearly know that that's wrong. Let me find it again. Moretsu. Yeah. Look at this. So yeah. Isao Takahata directed season 1, and Kunihiko Ikuhara, assistant director on series 1 and director of series 2. And then they go on to say the show is so like, look, okay, here's all the more Takahata erasure, by the way, more evidence where they're not mentioning Takahata at all. I don't see him literally at all. The show was remade in 1990 under the helmsmanship of Kunihiko Ikuhara, who, it was claimed, directed 2 episodes of the original, although he was only 5 years old at the time. So they clearly know that that's wrong. So why then are they trusting this source that he directed this series? And that just kind of rang bells to me, because you probably would have heard that he directed that series, you know, before Sailor Moon, before Utena. That would be, he's such a kind of a popular figure, you'd have probably heard of that. So I'm like, okay, who really directed it? Does anyone want to guess? Anyone want to guess in the comments? Who don't look it up yourself. Please try to be fair. Don't look it up. We're going to look it up right now. In fact, I'll pull up the OP, which I did. Moretsu Ataro. I just go on YouTube. This is the one. This is for series 2. Anyone have any guesses? Sato? You would be right, Hayden. Junichi Sato. And I confirm it. It's not just like, oh, Mel's always right, you know. Would you you gotta inspect the kanji. Take a look at the kanji of his name and how do you spell it. This is 2, right? Is it over here? Here it is. Series Director. Sato Junichi. And I mean, obviously checked the actual, I checked the actual kanji and everything. But yeah, of course it was Sato. You know who else I think is getting a little bit of erasure in this encyclopedia? You know, just a little. Just a smidge. Oh, no. What are they doing? What's going on? Seems like a typical adventure story to me. I mean, as long as you're not showing kids stuff like Berserk, lots of anime are fine. I'm pretty sure Takahata was one of the major factors for Miyazaki getting a career. Hate how they were racing him. Yeah, he is. He absolutely is the reason. And they're rivals. He's also the reason why his movies are as good as they are. Miyazaki, I mean. Where he would... I mean, obviously I haven't read, like, Starting Point, so maybe they know better than me. But, like, his relationship and rivalry with Takahata really boosted, I think, his creativity and willingness to be a director. Takahata was a director for way longer than Miyazaki was. I had a bit of information in the video, that's funny. Oh, fair. Japanese Wikipedia is always good for fact-checking. Yeah, or just looking at the source. I feel like someone somewhere in this game of telephone said Sailor Moon director. I don't even know if they refer to Sato as the... Maybe they do. Maybe they do. Do they not mention Sato for, like, Kaleido Star or Aria? I think they do for Kaleido Star. I'm not sure if they do for Aria. They don't say shit about Aria, actually. I remember distinctly the Aria section was nothing. Based on the manga. Nope. They don't mention Sato at all during Aria. Kaleido Star. I'm pretty sure they mentioned him here. I'll never forget this article because it made me smash my, accidentally break my dish. Like my dish got knocked over because I was freaking raging at this so hard. Yeah, look away now. Spoilers, look away now. I'm reading a book! There it is. It's a long article, but then it says, creator Sato layers elements of many live-action and animated dreams of stardom, as well as throwing in the tropes and transformations, spirit guide, and cute animal sidekicks so beloved of magical girl shows. But he also asks... Does the performer serve the audience or vice versa? Yet Sato is as spellbound by the roar of the crowd and the smell of the grease paint as any old vaudeville hack. And he gives his fantasy a full-on, top-quality staging. In a sign of the times, he was actually unable to produce the show to his own specifications in Japan. It took the injection of foreign funding from ADV Films and a Korean backer to ensure that the performance scenes had the necessary pizzazz. In Sato's hands, foreign lands and rites of passage are exciting but safe. So much so that the natives, from the police to chance-met passersby, are uniformly friendly. Everyone speaks your language and wills you on to succeed. So they don't really mention his legacy at all. They're just kind of like, oh, he's the creator, so let's scrutinize this work through him. Throw Dazaki into the mix for famous directors as a second. It was the first. Dazaki was the first one I noticed. I would literally read all the articles of the ones that Dazaki directed. Those were the first ones I checked. And I remember distinctly, it was like, he's not here. He's not fucking here. Oh, that's disappointing. It's such a lovely series that you could say that a lot about, even if you didn't like it or found it boring. I know. I am in that category of not necessarily liking it and not engaging with it too much. But Sato's the GOAT, man. Sato's incredible. But yeah, the Moretsu Ataro, what the fuck? But they just take the source that says he directed. Yeah, they just take it at face value. I'm sorry. I feel like this has been on screen the entire time, and I was like, yes, I'm an idiot. Sorry. My Neighbor Totoro. This is okay. Yeah. So I'm sorry I keep teasing this. Here we go. They wrote this. They genuinely wrote this in the Encyclopedia. The name manages, not quite accidentally enough, to get the show filed next to Totoro in both English and Japanese, as if somehow the greatness of the latter would improve its chances. The only people bothered by this is you. You seriously looked at it, saying it's called My Neighbor Totoro. You love Totoro so fucking much that you have an inferiority complex around, like, oh, this one's trying to rip it off, trying to take off the name. Like, maybe it is. Who cares? I would imagine that you would be, like, used to that. With how many rip-offs and, like, different stuff that, you know, like, the way anime is. Like, of course they're gonna do. Like, sure. But, like, you're really that bothered by it that you're gonna bring up that point up and give it a negative review, being like, it's just stupid skits. Like, yeah, I'm sure it's not very good, but it's just really petty. Weird. The only thing they did for Dazaki was subtly blame him for why Sword for Truth sucks. Yeah, basically. Also, find him disagreeable with Golgo and Blackjack. So, hilariously enough, My Neighbor Totoro is the one Ghibli film I didn't like. Damn, haha. Yeah. Man, I hate the mentality of this show copies things from X show, though, so therefore the show sucks. I know. And then this, yeah, I mentioned the Pomboko thing. It's like, why not mention Nausicaa? If you're looking for ones that, like, particularly depiction of disappearing pastoral existence. Nausicaa has that. It's weird. And I don't think that was anything else. Okay. Not about for about 29 minutes. We're finally ready to read. Do some reading. We're gonna be I gotta be here. Whatever. Okay. So, okay. Goodbye, book. I don't have to open you for at least a little while. Okay. Now I'm reading M3, The Dark Metal. And if there's any of these that you want me to read, let me know. If they're like, what is that? But I'm going to be mostly reading these silently so I don't have to... So I can do it a little faster. For me, it's Howls. I don't hate it, but outside of the animation, I barely remember it. The concept of possibly improving upon formulas set by past works doesn't exist, I guess. Yeah. Okay. This is a 2014 work, too. This is actually a really recent one. Recent for this book. I just like this phrase. 10 years of the war on terror and climate change has led to an entire subgenre within anime of late capitalist musings on what it is to live in a society. Society that relies... It goes on, but just we live in a society. That relies on distant conflicts and a drain on unrenewable resources. I think this is a positive review. They kind of have wow, what an insight. Surely no anime before tackled this topic. Do they know that Giant Robo exists? They're just referring to that, like, there's a swell of these anime of, like, whoa, society, and then they say the world of Attack on Titan and Knights of Sidonia. So M3 is, like, part of that. Boy, they must hate Star Wars considering how much it takes from Kurosawa. Maybe. Didn't Gundam tackle these themes way earlier? That's true, but it's not a captain. It's not Captain Planet. They really don't give their opinion on this. I think they do, but, like, they kind of just say that it does this. It's part of, it's like these kids, a shadowy allegory of the elephant in the room of modern Japanese politics. But they don't really give any positive or negative sway towards that. It's sort of, this is what it does, which is good. I prefer this. I would prefer this. And then they also have, whereas Katsuhiro Otomo once sweated blood to get the night right in Akira, the problems of animating dark scenes using cells that relied on light to be seen have been dispelled by a generation of animation inside computers. M3 is only possible today. M3 is only possible today. The darkness at its center, and through which its characters move, would have been almost impossible to depict in animation 20 years previously. Okay. I'm gonna let you have that take. I'll let you have that one. Sure. I don't care enough to write that down. Ma Barajo from 2003. Another harem show with magical overtones. What a pompous sentence. This is such a, like, listen to this. Meanwhile, the girls do everything in their power to win him over, or failing that, to get his parents' approval. In an anime that could be taken as a satire of materialist dating customs were it not such a blatant case of cliché reassembly. Were it not such a blatant case of cliché reassembly. DNA Squared meets Tenchi Muyo. Here we are again. I love beating my hands against a wall. Don't you guys? Every time. I'm not even a fucking white knight for this shit. I really don't care. I don't like this shit either, but I don't watch it. I don't complain about it. If I'm gonna make an encyclopedia, and I'm gonna include a title like this, I'll explain what it is. But then if there's nothing interesting about the studio or the director of what it's based on, something additive or interesting, and not, it's fucking Tenchi Muyo again. I don't care if it's Tenchi Muyo again. I really don't. They're gonna tear into Maharabo, I just know it. Now they're just passively cutting into it just like every other harem thing. They don't really engage with them. They just kind of, like, see them at a distance. They're like, yeah, that's one of those. What does that even mean? A time-traveling harem? But both of those are good anime, so why would you compare it to those if you're trying to make a negative comparison? You see, they don't think those are good anime. I think that's the thing. Hey, here's something. However, there's a however, fellas. However, Mabarajo does attempt to do something new with such outrageously hackneyed raw material. Many situations from the geek gets girls subgenre are deliberately inverted, such as the time limit lifespan of Maharomatic or Video Girl I, here given to the male protagonist. Nor does the series shy away from following its own internal logic. It establishes that ghosts are part of everyday life, and consequently have no qualms about killing off its hero midway. The inversions of traditional formulae become increasingly obvious, since it is now Kazuki who is the untouchable, unattainable love object, forced to continue school in a phantom state, in the hope that his death can be somehow reversed and his magical mojo recharged. Was that spoilers, fellas? Let me know if that was spoilers down in the comments. I apologize if I spoiled Mabarajo to some people. That's 2 entries down. We're at 169. And I'm going to give them a mixed, because they do seem to actually give it some credit. I'm just going to add these into the lump. And, you know, the enter was there just to, for me to differentiate. I'm going to give that one a mixed opinion now. Mabarajo could be It's been so long, I can't remember if that's a big spoiler or anything. I like Shinichiro Kimura, though. He always makes his shows very endearing. Cool. See, that's good, actually, giving credit to the people that made it. You know, one of these guys' actual goals with this book. Which I think they're trying. They're trying. They certainly do better than what was probably out there in 2001. But in the process, it kind of codified a certain canon, like only these anime creators are good and worth knowing their names, and these ones, maybe not so much. Okay. What a title, Macademi, Macadamia Nut, Macademi Washoi, from 2008. Snow Fairy Sugar is adorable, even if it's very clumsy. Yeah, cute. Student. Sheesh. Yeah, it's a negative. Sheesh. What's going on? Good to see you, Bob. Well, in some news that maybe you're interested in, they declared My Neighbor Totoro as Miyazaki's greatest work, and hence probably the best anime ever made. That's a play. And they also, even though they know it was wrong, they still put that this series from 1969 that was directed by Isao Takahata that Kuniko Ikuhara was listed as an assistant director for Series 1, even though he was born in 1964. They also list him as the director of Season 2. It's actually Junichi Sato that's the director of Season 2. But yeah. Those are kind of the two big ones from this stream so far. But we're finally on 3rd edition, reading some some M entries from post 2001, such as, well, I can't say such as in this case because this is one of the new entries, Machine Hayabusa from 1974. Let's check it out. Uh-oh, it's a Formula 1 anime. I don't think they're gonna like this one. This is a little weird, a little irked. I might actually put this in odd choices here. Machine Hayabusa. Story walks a different line between sci-fi sports like iShield 21. Sci-fi? Just because they have exaggerated powers? Does that make Kuroko no Basket a sci-fi sports anime? Huh? Nanisore? I've made that mistake myself a few times. Hard to find a definitive and easy searchable source of information. Yeah, I get that. Ikuhara might have been an episode director on Ataro 2. Because it's probably the same team. Oh, yeah. I 100% believe that was the case. Because where else did they get the name from? If it's from Sato, it's like, yeah. No, it's got to be Ikuhara directed some episodes. Sato and Ikuhara worked together for a long time. Like, info on Mal and NADB are incorrect sometimes, but Anime News Network is a pain to use for me. Anime News Network is also wrong sometimes. You just kind of have to, like, look at both of them, and if you really want to be sure, for whatever reason, you can always look at the kanji of the OP if it's still intact for some things. There's some series where that's not the case, but usually you can figure that out. You can cross-reference various sites. Japanese Wikipedia too. Oh yeah, Bob, the Japanese wiki is huge. That's a game changer. I get it's just Japanese Wikipedia, but like, it's insane how much more info it has. Most often times, and this has been my experience at least, but the vast majority of times I've looked up a show on Japanese Wikipedia, like using the kanji of the show and putting that in there, and then using the Wikipedia, they have an entire chart of every episode, when it aired, the director, the art director, the episode, like storyboards. Like they have a pretty substantial chart of important staff. Very, very, very often. It's usually the case with, not the case where they don't have it. Haikyuu's my favorite space opera. I honestly think they're just guessing the plot of Ice Shield based on the title. Maybe. I don't know. And a fascination with technology a la Initial D. There's another self-insert. They just go on. They just keep going with the leader of the People's Republic of China, who died the year this was made. That's pretty cool. That's a good tidbit actually. I actually want to put that as a good one. Machine Hayabusa would have faded entirely from memory were it not for its influence on Katsuhito Ishii, cited as an influence of Redline. That might be kind of cool. That's a really neat, and you could also argue that makes sense why this is a new entry, that this Machine Hayabusa is not in the first edition, and they probably found out about this show maybe, or found it worthy of inclusion because of this tidbit. Well, that's awesome. I gotta start using that. Oh yeah. They also do broadcast times too, of like when it was broadcasted on television, like exact times. I think that's really useful for like, because there's definitely connections with some shows via what time slot they occupied in. Like, oh, this show took over this show, kind of deal. How's it? Scan, shake, and bake. Yeah, that's fair. Good to see you, Holy Pig. We're cruising. Doing all right. I want to make sure I keep counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was our 4th entry out of 171. So, 67? Yeah, left. That's how many entries we got left for M. Madam Butterfly from 1940. Another new entry. Yeah, username checks out. Yeah. Shake and bacon. That's fun. I'm going to commit suicide. I think you just spoiled the entire thing. I mean, it's 12 minutes, so... Masterpiece of Japanese silhouette animation makes the best of its source material. Glowing. Masterpiece. Wow. So this is a silhouette shadow puppet type of animation. Not shadow puppets exactly, but silhouette animation that they did not. So like Puccini had only died in 1924, so the copyright was still active. It's an adaptation of an opera. And so they only realized that they couldn't pay the royalties for it once they had already done 18,000 frames of animation, once they were going to lay down the audio. So they had to use different audio and lyrics and defeating the point of this adaptation. That's really interesting. Hello, Glowworm Apocalypse. Nice to see you. Oh yeah, that butterfly anime was awesome. One of my favorites from the 40s. Yeah, that's good. Good shit. Madara! From 1991. I've already read it. Shit, I didn't change the text. Fuck. Whatever. I'll do it now. I think I'll eat it now. Madcap Island, another new entry from 1967. Hokori Hyotenjima, Madcap Island. Yeah, they spoil this one too. They go like, in the end, da 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 da. Well, that's insane. Talk about a total recall. Right? We're doing it live. Yeah, good to see you, Mia. Yep, that's that one. Okay. Not much else to it. Oh, their Madhouse article. Yeah, hold on. Let me read this. Because there's probably something wrong in here that we found out, that we at least have discovered recently. This is a very common thing that I'm pretty sure. Yep, they put it right there. Sometimes credited as Studio Madhouse, Madhouse Studios, or Madhouse Productions, the studio does not have one single location, but is scattered across several buildings in a Tokyo suburb. An animation studio founded in 1972 by several former employees of Mushi Production, including Masao Murayama, Rintaro, Yoshiaki Kawajiri, and Osamu Tezaki. Those four have always been cited as the founders of Madhouse. And then when it says, you know, the way it's phrased, by several former employees of Mushi, including, it's probably more than just those four. But Rintaro in particular has mentioned that he has no recollection of being the founder of Madhouse. A founder of Madhouse. He just pretty much completely debunked it. Rintaro specifically. It's true, definitely, that like Masao Murayama was probably really early. We know that because he is still officially credited with that. And it's very likely that Tezaki and Kawajiri were there and involved because they are... And Rintaro, I mean, Rintaro at the very least did work on Manga Sekai from Madhouse in 1975. And then you have like Tezaki's next work after Joe be Aim for the Ace, which is also Madhouse. Which is Madhouse. Not just also Madhouse, because Joe is Mushi. But yeah, that is incorrect. And I'd have to look again. I don't know if the first edition says it somewhere. But, because they don't have these articles in the first edition with like dedicated to studios and stuff, but yeah. Notable staffers include Toshio Harada, Yoshinori Kanamori, Katsuhiko Urahara, and Kunihiko Sakurai. After its first job on Aim for the Ace, Madhouse has become one of the most influential studios in anime, particularly abroad in the 1990s, where its concentration on adult-oriented horror and sci-fi made its works some of the better-known anime of the video boom, particularly Kawajiri's own Wicked City and Ninja Scroll. Although the studio has a long track record in video releases, it did not limit itself solely to them, ensuring that there were plenty of high-profile cinema titles on its resume, including Barefoot Gen, Lensman, and Metropolis. In addition to Kawajiri, Madhouse also enjoyed a long association with Satoshi Kon, whose Perfect Blue and Millennium Actress were critically acclaimed. Nor has the studio shied away from TV production, benefiting greatly from the success of Chobits in the early 21st century. That's really weird they don't mention any other Madhouse productions for TV. They literally just mention Chobits. That's really weird. Kaiji, Monster, Nana? Really? And they don't really necessarily credit Masao Maruyama for really the reason that, like, Satoshi Kon, right? As of 2014, the company is 95% owned by the TV channel NTV. Okay. Madlax. Madlaxu. Okay, I'll do this, like, this count thing at the end. Fuck it. Is that a codified thing? This thing, so Madlax, they have more, the two girls, the two leads, I guess, have more in common than they know. Not the least, an uncanny resemblance to the lead characters of creator-director Mashimo's earlier noir, the first entry in the Girls with Guns trilogy. Is that a codified thing? Girls with Guns is like a, a known subgenre in that period, but was it like a really codified, like, I used to, for a long time, have had the Abe trilogy, but it's kind of a silly distinction because it counts Technolize but didn't count Nia under 7. Yeah, the Girls with Guns genre. Okay, the third one is El Cazador de la Bruja, the third entry in the Girls with Guns trilogy. Gotcha. I think the director coined that term. Okay, then fair. Cool. Don't really say much else about it, though. They didn't give their opinion or anything. Seems fine. Yeah. Mahiro Maeda. Tsuneo Maeda. I'll change this Madlax one in a sec. I'll change it to this. The next title is Magi. Magi. This one's a more well-known title, so I think I'll read this one. In a fantasy Middle East, like something out of the 1001 Nights, Ali Baba and Aladdin resolve to drag themselves out of poverty by the most dangerous but lucrative means. For the last 14 years, large towers known as dungeons have been appearing all over the realm. Anyone who can enter a dungeon, conquer its guardians, and steal its treasure can live the rest of their life as a king. Like a king. Despite a promising opening, suffused with Orientalist charm and adventurous tropes, and a stirring soundtrack to rival that of El Hazard, Magi soon devolves into cliches derived from role-playing games. That, however, still puts it head and shoulders above many other anime shows for young boys. Later episodes introducing Central Asian nomads are in keeping with the spirit of the original Persian-influenced Arabian Nights, which often told tales from Central Asia rather than the Middle East. Let's separate Alibaba and Aladdin for much of the storyline, before broader story arcs involve them in political intrigues and wars beyond the borders of their homeland. Literary historians may have already noticed that despite their worldwide fame, neither Alibaba nor Aladdin appear in the original Arabian Nights as brought to the West, both as orphan tales of uncertain origin, possibly interpolated by French retellers. The 2013 season changed the subtitle to The Kingdom of Magic, based on the manga by Shinobu Otaka, which began in Weekly Shonen Sunday in 2009. I give it a positive. They really are trying to say many other anime shows for young boys. I lost my insurance. Yay. Dang. That's awful. I'm so sorry. I don't mean make it a bummer singling you out or anything. I hope you're doing okay. Hope you figure it out. That's tough though. Well, starting March. Yeah. Well, you got that time till then to figure something out, I guess. Damn. So we chilling. Being chilling, well, I mean, not for long. So use this while you can. Try to help yourself out, you know. Magic, boobs, secret, sword, scroll. Why is it called that? Why is it called that? Apparently that's the Romaji for it. Why is it called Magic Boobs Secret Sword Scroll? Huh? Okay. I don't want to click it and find out. Oh, this is the one Invader Alex likes. This is the one he always yeah, it literally translates to Magic Breast Secret Sword Scroll. Yeah, it does literally translate to that. We was for the young sultan. Those without boobs are not considered human. We mean the women, of course, because nobody would be stupid enough to judge a man by the size of his chest. We, in English it's just called Lost Wish or something. I love how they changed the title for foreign markets like Karin. Oh yeah. And these guys certainly try to adhere to that, so that's interesting that they didn't really... It's probably because it wasn't localized at the time, by 2015. A little snide comment from them. But they don't really give it an actual distinction. They don't really... Actually, I'm going to give it a dismissive opinion, yeah. Because they don't even seem to have watched it, really. They just kind of read the synopsis, it seems. Oh, so I'm not crazy, and you did just utter those words. I thought I was hearing things. Which in particular? Oh. I don't know what you're talking about, actually. I thought you maybe meant, and we thought Queen's Blade was pushing it. I don't know. The magic of chocolate. Let me make sure I write that down! Write that down, write that down! Mixed opinion, I think. Kind of a pass, like small. I think it's supposed to be with a T. Nope, they get with an E. Chocolate. Season 2. Animation and designs are far more basic than 2011. But it's a bold attempt. I love the SpongeBob references you keep sprinkling in. Have I been doing that? That's not intentional, I swear. I didn't even grow up with SpongeBob. I guess I'm just that on the internet, and that like SpongeBob's influence has permeated that much. I'm sure I have. But I haven't even registered that. I was like, that's a SpongeBob reference for those of you who don't know. That part about women's not having breasts or something caught me off guard. Oh, okay. Yeah. Magic Thief! Oh, it's Magic Kaido. It's yeah, it's a manga by it's the spin-off. The spin-off of it's like the same world too. Why does this have its own entry? That's weird. That reminds me of the OP, which I've been meaning to watch that show because I've listened to the OP and it's amazing, and I know Roger likes that show a lot, but I forgot all about it. Yes, as in the Magic Treehouse, like the children's book series from the US. I did read this one on stream last time, but I'm just refreshing. Was published first before Conan, like Sailor V. Oh, really? No shit. That's pretty cool. That would have been nice to put in this encyclopedia. I feel like you didn't have cable as a kid. I didn't. I had PBS Kids, and I had Saturdays with ABC Kids. ABC would air some of their cartoons. It wasn't necessarily Disney Afternoon. It was something else. But they aired like Hannah Montana and stuff in the 2000s. So I got some of that bleed through, the replacements, stuff like that. As well as, of course, 4Kids, Fox Box. That was like the big one for me. If the title of a show starts with Maho, would that be in the M section or in other sections? There was a couple that have magic, and I don't think a single time they put Maho as the title. I could be wrong, but let me look. So I literally typed the words Maho, like OU, and 0 results. 0. So they put it as Maho without the U. So there's 114 results. But in terms of M, Mahoraba is and Mahoromatic. Mahoraba and Mahoromatic, that's the only ones. Everything else they've translated as one thing or another. Magical Canaan. Interesting little take about magical girls in this section about magical Canaan. I haven't read this yet. One of the important elements of the Magical Girls series format is that magic can bestow the illusion of maturity, status, and power, and this usually involves sexualizing the heroine to some degree. Well, I can already tell you that's not the case. In Sally and Akko, there's no sexualization. So far, I'm like 40 episodes into both of them. 35 episodes into both of them, roughly. There's not been any sexualization. Like, pretty much at all. There could be an occasional panty shot here and there, but it's not usually ever for titillation. I don't think ever. That's never been the case. I can understand Melmo, specifically, because I know Tezuka's kind of like that. And I've seen clips of Melmo. I get it. But then there's also like Cutie Honey and everything. I get there's a link there. They're not completely wrong, but I think it's disingenuous and annoying to boil that trope of like having to mature the magical girl into something sexual. They reference Melmo in this, yeah, because this series Magical Canaan The medallion around his neck blinks, a wand emerges, she grasps it, and suddenly transforms into a brave, athletic, magical warrior called Carmine, with a pneumatic chest about 7 years older than she is. Compare to Marvelous Melmo. To be fair, my family didn't have cable until I was 8. I mostly just taped Cartoon Network shows at a relative's house before then. Wow. Oh wow. Could have saved them a lot of trouble if they pull out all the Mao shoujo in one section. There's a lot of trouble in making a book like this, so they're kind of saving themselves some... I don't know what they're doing. Let's just say. Okay, actually, could you read Magical Canon section? I'm really curious, because it has 2 adaptations. The book must be thinking about Melmo. Victor, you're saying it has 2 adaptations? Because they're only listing 1. They only list the one from 2005. There was an OVA from 2000. Really? They don't even mention the OVA. Wait a minute. Oh, undo that. Okay. No, they don't mention the OVA at all. That's interesting. I do have one of these rules of, like, not scrutinizing what's absent. But really, the fact that there's so little has been absent in this entire book, they've been very thorough. That is very interesting. The one is an 18+ OVA. Wow. Well, there you go. That's probably why they have the... And the fact that they're generalizing magic... One of the important elements of the Magical Girl series format is that magic can bestow the illusion of maturity, status, and power. And that's true. Sally and Akko... More Akko than Sally, obviously, because that's the whole power set is transformation. But Sally has had to do this at least once or twice, where... I can only think of one instance so far, and it was a recent episode that I watched, where there's this party going on for adults, and Sally and her friends want to go in, and they can't. So Sally transforms, at least herself... She kind of leaves her friends outside. She transforms herself into someone older to go in. And Akko transforms into her teacher, a female teacher. She never transforms into her male teacher. I don't think she's ever transformed into a guy, actually. I've been keeping track of her transformations, actually. I've been keeping track of every transformation she does and what she uses it for, because I really want a good idea of what this power is used for and how it's used. I don't think she's ever turned into a guy now that I think about it. And she usually turns into her female teacher or a policewoman very often enough. Actually, she did turn into a policeman at one point. Probably because she was trying to scare off some, like, boy bullies. And I think maybe they thought if she turned into a policewoman, that wouldn't have worked as well? I don't know. But she transforms into a policewoman often when there's, like, actual crimes being committed, just to scare people off. So that happens. That is an integral part, for sure. But it's not out of a sexual thing at all, or of a maturity, like, girls growing up or something. It's purely utilitarian at this point. I mean, there has been episodes of her, like, just experimenting with it, being like, oh, this is kind of cool. Because what kid wouldn't want to experiment with something like that? But it's been purely used for, like, oh, I have a use for this. It's not just for the fuck of it. Oftentimes. Wasn't there that episode where Sally went to the mansion of some princess where there were burglars? There's burglars episode 1. She encounters burglars, like, at a mall, episode 1. There was, yes, it was a haunted house, and there were burglars. Yes. I think that one also had a transformation. Probably. But she doesn't Sally herself doesn't transform that often, actually. For some reason, it's more with Cub. There was an interesting episode where they went, like deep sea diving, because her friend wanted to, and she transforms herself into having a wetsuit on, like an actual scuba diving gear on. And so the animators, they constantly have her as that. Whereas her brother Cub and her grandma turn into fish. If they ever want to like swim, breathe underwater or whatever, they just turn into fish. But she deliberately doesn't turn into a fish. I think because of her character, they kind of treat her very ladylike. They often don't put her in an unflattering image, which was why the slap that I posted on Twitter was rare, because that's like the ugliest I've ever seen Sally drawn. But usually she kind of is like a little above that, it seems, which is interesting. I remember she sometimes transforms Cub into something as punishment. Oh yeah, yep, she does that a lot. She's very abusive to Cub, which is, no abuse is okay, but like for a kid show, right? And the Cub is usually the one who's instigating it and is like being annoying. And there's that trope. She goes, Cub, omae wa shiawase da ne? This is your fault, isn't it? And then she does something to him because she's better at magic than him, so she just kind of trounces him sometimes, which is fun. Yeah, it's just that I don't know, but yeah, it's a good show. I really enjoy Sally. Even so, the old and cynical among us who remember when Magical Girl series featured characters with chest measurements in which the letter D played no part may be saddened to know that this is a repackaging of an earlier porn anime, filed here as Magical Kanan. They dead ass? Are you kidding me? They listed it in 2 different entries? Why? They filed it as Magical Kanan with a K. And then this one is Magical Kanan with a C. What on earth? Why did they do that? Why? I'm just baffled by it because of their rules. I'm trying to follow like how they're categorizing it, every anime and everything. But they just did it for the why did they do that? Here's Kanan. They completely different synopsis. Since it has the same staff, plot, characters, and origin as the more innocent TV series Magical Kanan, you would be forgiven for confusing the two. This, however, is the version with exposed tits TNA, and predictably reworks the relationship to some degree. It makes us wonder which is more revealing, that there is another porn version of an innocent Japanese TV series in the style of Masquerade, or that only the porn version is available in English. The authors have long suspected that many of the most familiar names from the Vanilla series and other erotic anime staff lists are pseudonyms for more established industry personnel. Magical Kanan may finally offer some clues. A further adventure, Magical Kanan Palpitating Summer Camp, featured a trip to the beach, where Chihaya and Natsuki's love story reaches a surprising conclusion. I still can't believe they put it. It's still the same. They literally say in the article, it's the same staff, plot, characters, and origin. And they're gonna make it 2 different entries because this is the only one that was released in the US? What? This shit baffles me sometimes, man. This fucking book. I'll put it in odd choices of like... I just want to write down that one of the important elements of Magical Girl format is that magic can bestow the illusion of maturity, status, and power, and this usually involves sexualizing the heroine to some degree. Even so, the old and cynical among us, you, it's just you, who remember when Magical Girl series featured characters with chest measurements in which the letter D played no part, may be saddened to know that this is a repackaging of an earlier porn anime. Like, what? Magical Fairy Persia. This is a fairly long entry, so I'm probably going to make this the last one. By the way, did we already go through Melmo? I'm really curious if they're defending that one. I don't know if they're defending it, but let's see. When her mother goes to heaven after a traffic accident, young Melmo receives a jar of red and blue candy that allows her to magically age 10 years and turn into a young woman, and also return to her normal age. In Astro Boy creator Tezuka's take on the popular magical girl genre, typified by Creamy Mommy and Little Witch Sally, I don't know why they're bringing up Creamy Mommy and not Himitsu no Ako-chan, which aired before Melmo, and in the same time slot as Sally. They're basically this, like, I literally looked at the Japanese wiki for Sally and Ako, and they refer to them as sequel. Like, Ako is like the sequel to Sally, and apparently I don't know if I could find the animation for this, but apparently there's an actual trading, like a passing of the torch moment between Sally and Ako, like an actual one. Anyway, and my mommy came out after Melmo, but whatever. Melmo decides to use the candy, which was intended to allow her to survive her childhood without an adult protector, for the greater good. As the series progressed, Melmo's age swings become more pronounced. She comes close to dying of old age, or regressing back to pre-human fetal states. This allowed her to reorder her cells as she regrew to gain temporary animal characteristics like fur or a strong sense of smell in order to aid her with the task at hand. On the 70th anniversary of Tezuka's birth, the series was re-released on video as Melmo Renewal, with an all-new voice and music track, and Maria Kawamura replacing Reiko Fujita as Melmo. The story was remade again as part of a trilogy of live-action TV specials, Osamu Tezuka Theater, along with Tezuka's Canon and Lun Flies into the Wind. So, they don't defend it, but they certainly don't say any about the sus parts of Melmo. Interesting. Isn't that interesting? Unrelated, but what are your thoughts on Uran, Astro's sister? I always felt like she was the Sally before Sally. I mean, you would know better than me, Bob. She shows up in the 60s series. Because if so, then cool. I'm more familiar with her knowing that she's in the 80s series. But if she's in the 60s, then by all means, then sure. And like, there's obviously like fluctuations here, because I think there's a misconception with Sally the Witch being the first magical girl series. Well, first of all, Ako-chan was first. It was published as a manga before Sally the Witch, but Sally was the first one to get a TV anime. But more so with Sally, she's not the only magical being. She's the main character, the title of character, but her brother is magical and is very active in the show, just like Iran, right? Kind of with Astro-Iran dynamic. But also, her parents are magical, very magical, which is a rarity. In the Magical Girl series that I've watched, the parents are they're rarely involved, let alone magical beings that can actually relate to what's going on and can help the main character. That feels like such an unexplored, underdeveloped thing. That's I've only ever seen in Sally. It just felt like her character would have been popular among girls in Japan. Sure. Probably. I mean, Astro Boy was a very popular series, and you don't get popular by appealing only to boys. I've said this about Shonen Jump series for a long time, but like, they're not popular simply because they appeal to young boys. They're broadly appealing. Tons of girls and young women love Shonen Jump stuff. I don't speak for them, but like, you see it in the numbers today, actually. And you know, there's not as much of a broad appeal for shoujo series, because a lot of girls might read those, but how many boys read those, right? But like plenty, like, you know, Shonen Jump's demographic is probably a lot older than what it's targeting, right? Like a ton of adults are reading One Piece or all these other series, right? And in ways the Astro androids use technology instead of magic. Exactly. Because it's like, what's really at the core of Magical Girl series for me? This is something I've been noticing with watching Sailor Moon, Akko, and Sally all at once, is they're so funny. They are very comedic. And I think that's something that gets completely missed when talking about this genre, because we're in such this post-Madoka era. And Madoka's not a comedy. I mean, it could probably have some comedic moments, but by no stretch is it a comedy. And neither is, say, Lyrical Nanaha. I've not seen Nanaha, right? But we did announce this title at Discotech's recent stream that we're releasing Reflection. And I did the chapters for that one, and, you know, I have to scrub through the whole movie to do that. There's very little comedy in that one, too. It makes you wonder. Because, like, to me, that's really the core appeal of these series. Is the magic is just a means of which to tell these cool, fun stories, to have fun and be a little whimsical and like funny. You know, like what's the purpose of being a Magical Girl series? And Nanaha isn't really a comedy. So, and it's like, yes, they are magical girls. There's no denying that for Nanaha or Madoka, but what is the story really trying to be? What are you really trying to tell here? You know? Ilya is kind of a comedy, though, and it's a seinen. Sure, I'm not really referring to demographics necessarily. I'm just trying to explore this calling it a genre necessarily. I like some shoujo like Sailor Moon and Princess Tutu. Oh, sure. Even shoujo broadly, I'd say. There's a series I'm working on right now that I'm pretty sure is a shoujo. I can't say what it is at the moment, but I'm pretty sure it's a shoujo, and it's like a comedy. You know, it's appealing. I think the thing that endears people to it is that it's a comedy. Nanaha isn't a shoujo. It was aimed at otaku until they found a big thing. Right, exactly. So then it's like, what are we really doing here? I don't know. It's just it's food for thought for me personally. I think it's really reshaped my perception on Magical Girl series. I think they got to be funny. I think if they're not funny, they're missing something. I'm not gonna say they're not Magical Girl series. That's stupid. But it's not my appeal. It's not really what if it doesn't have comedy in it, I'm gonna like it. I'll probably like it. But like Princess Tutu, Full Moon, Doremi, they have dramatic elements that make me love them, sure. I think it's the combination of that pathos, I don't know if that's really the right word for it, plus actual like comedy, and it's a very broadly appealing, fun series. All of them are fun. I love shoujo. They just seem to touch on more emotions than the last shonen I've seen, especially josei. More complex for sure. I will say that. I can't even watch the Nana season before a retool. Too much creepy fan service. Damn. Let me finish this with Magical Fairy Persia and get out of here. 11-year-old Persia lives on the Serengeti plains in Africa. I do want to read this one because it's kind of related to what I want to see what they say about it. They probably won't say they have a lot apparently. That's like a pretty long article, so yeah. Lives on the Serengeti plains in Africa wearing a leopard skin and surrounded by wild animals until local storekeeper Goken and his hunky twin teenage grandsons Gaku and Riki take her to live in Japan. On the way, Persia finds himself in the magical land of Lovely Dream, where dreams are born. But the land is frozen and the dreams can't get out into the human world. The fairy queen gives Persia a special mission to collect love energy in the human world and allow springtime to return to Lovely Dream. If she fails, or if humans see her using her magical powers, the important men in her life, Goken, Gaku, and Riki, will be transformed into women. Oh no! That sure is a premise. Ooh, the stakes sure are high, fellas. God damn. The queen sends Persia back to the human world with a magic headband, which connects her to Lovely Dream and turns her into a teenager. 3 magical companions accompany her in the form of Kappa, named Gera Gera, Meso Meso, and Puri Puri. Using her magic, she transforms her beloved lion Simba into a cat so she can bring him along from Africa to Japan. The series is usually ranked below Creamy Mommy in the Magical Girl canon. What do they mean ranked below? In quality? In order of importance? Where are they getting that metric from? In what way? They just say the series is usually ranked below Creamy Mommy in the Magical Girl canon, but it was popular enough in its day to attract a cameo appearance from Creamy Mommy characters in episode 3 and to form part of 2 video spin-offs. Yeah, they don't explain where the ranking is coming from. What ranking? In the first video, they're just explaining the OVAs again. This is another instance of an overinflated article just because they're describing all these specials. Unsurprisingly, for a series so rooted in sexual subtext, there was also a I don't know what maybe I said unsurprisingly. Unsurprisingly, for a series so rooted in sexual subtext, there was also a porn parody. A manga version was Saban Entertainment of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers fame are said to have planned an English version based on the Italian dub, but this never materialized. I just realized that series like Ace, Dear Brother, and Rose of Versailles are also shoujo. Guess Sasaki introduced me to a lot of shoujo series. Dude, he's the GOAT! Because he was able to do both so fucking well. He has those 3, and then he has Joe, Cobra, and Blackjack? Blackjack is sane, and I could be wrong. That's a really original. Takarajima is not from a manga adaptation. I'm thinking. I'm looking, I'm flipping through his discography. Yeah, it's kind of Joe, Cobra, and obviously the other ones are like kind of adventure centric, like Gamba and Remy and Takarajima. But in terms of adaptations, I think it's those 3. It's like Joe, Cobra, and Blackjack. Back to work. Good stream. Thank you, Bob. Good seeing you. I'm just about peacing out here as well. The ranking was the friends we made along the way. That totally made up. They totally made up the ranking. Dude, you made that up. That's funny. Blackjack is shown, and the Dazaki's version does push the boundaries. Oh yeah, okay. That's funny. Okay, I'm gonna put. They didn't really give their opinion about it, but I'm gonna do an odd choice with that one. What ranking? What are you talking about? Yeah, they didn't really give any other weird things. Oh, and then... At least personally. Well, that sure was fun, fellas. Hope you enjoyed that. A little over 2 hours. I'm gonna end on Persia, and then this will have that's the last one we did. I'll count how many we have to do and go to later or whatever. But up to stream next week. You guys are great. You have a great weekend. Yo, peace.